This is Getting On with Life, Biblical Wisdom for Successful Christian Living. And this lesson is Grace Breaks Through. How powerful is sin and evil? If you are trapped in sin or a victim of evil, you know how powerful those things are. There are people trapped in the most horrible patterns of sin who even hate themselves for what they do or have become. And there are those who have suffered wrong and feel completely contaminated, broken, and hopeless under the impact of what they suffered. Those who've been spared the ravages of sin and the impact of evil won't realize how blessed they are. Yet there is wonderfully good news for all those trapped by sin or dirtied by evil. There is a power more potent than sin and victorious over shame and condemnation. It is the power of God's grace. There are many clues in the Bible about the power of grace. It is able to overcome evil and set us free, even from the darkest of human evils. Apostle Paul revealed that where sin seems to be overwhelming, grace will still be more significant. In Romans 5:20 he says, "Where sin abounded, grace increased all the more." Paul knew all about God's grace, considering himself the worst of sinners before Jesus saved him. He persecuted the church and killed Christians, yet grace broke through in him and made him the greatest preacher of the church age. In 1 Timothy 1:14 he says, "The grace of our Lord overflowed to me, along with faith and love that are in Christ Jesus." Paul received wonderful visions of God being taken into heaven. Then, to keep him humble, a troubling spirit was assigned to him. Paul pleaded with God to take that evil from him, but God reminded him that grace will always be enough. In 2 Corinthians 12:8 and 9 he says, "3 times I pleaded with the Lord to take it away from me, but he said to me, 'My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness.'" So in your situation, grace will always be enough. There is no sin severe enough and no darkness black enough to keep out God's grace. There is no sorrow so deep and no pain so severe that God's grace gives up and walks away. Grace is undefeated. You may be defeated. You may be overcome and crushed. You may be enslaved. You may be so damaged you can hardly get through each day. You may feel hopeless and in despair. You may have tried everything and given up trying. But grace is still undefeated. Grace doesn't lose heart and won't give up. It is not frightened by your pain or past failure. It's not offended at your shame and sin. It's not intimidated by your anger or violence. It doesn't have to apologize or hide, but it persists and pushes through. Jesus is the epitome of God's grace on display. He was hated and spat on. He was beaten and bruised. He was lied about and rejected. He was crushed and trampled on. Men and demons mocked him. His followers abandoned him. He had every reason to despair, pack up and go home. But he pressed through. He carried the baton all the way to the finish line, undaunted and undefeated. He was covered in blood, body mangled and skin torn open by brutal punishment, but he kept putting one foot in front of another, all the way right to the bitter end. And there, hanging on a torture device as his life bled away, he offered grace to the dying thief beside him. Grace is undefeated. Grace is not stopped by hatred or brutality. It's not stopped by doubt and fear. It's not stopped by betrayal. It's not stopped by human weakness. It's not stopped by anything you can throw at it. So it is the very thing you need. It can triumph for you if you just receive it. So how do you receive grace? You ask for it. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek it and you will find it. As Jesus said in Matthew 7:7 and 8, "Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and it will be opened to you." And be sure you humble yourself, for God gives grace to those who are humble, but he keeps it from those who are arrogant and proud. James 4:6 tells us, "He gives us more grace. This is why it says, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble." It doesn't matter how broken you are, or how polluted you are, or how many people hate you and wish you were dead. It doesn't matter how many victims you have damaged or how deeply you have sold your soul to the devil. Jesus defeated sin, death, and the devil as he carried grace over the line for us. You are not without hope. You are not without another chance. You are not destined to stay in your mess and pain. Grace is offered and on hand for you right now. Humble yourself and ask for the grace you don't deserve. Ask for the gift of forgiveness and life when you deserve destruction and death. Ask for God's favor when you deserve to be hated. Let grace break through for you. Receive the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ. Let it settle on you and in your heart. Repent to God for your selfishness, folly, and evil. Ask God to forgive you. Ask for cleansing and restoration and adoption into God's family. And then discover the wonder and power of grace, the triumphs over all evil and wrong. Then keep on the journey to know and love God and to enjoy Him forever, knowing you are able to do that because grace breaks through. God bless you.